Commissioners meeting to order. Time is what?
6:32. Oh, 5:42.
5:42.
Wow.
Okay.
Now that I got myself messed up here.
This also will be recorded. The first item is a board action, and that's approval of the agenda. I have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Oh.
And I might just add, Dan in his monthly report is going to talk a little bit about the Avalon Pump Station project, Oceanside Pump Station, and office manager position filled. And my thinking was that these are going to be projects that are going to range over a couple potential board meetings. So I thought to put them into old business and new business, even though Dan is going to comment. And we'll just address both this item on the agenda and Dan's item when he reaches it at the same time. So other than that, does anybody have any other changes or suggestions for the agenda? Okay, if not, all in favor of accepting the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
And guess, we have Craig with us. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Welcome. Public comments. Do you have any public comments?
I do not.
All right. Board questions, comments, discussion. Is there anything anybody wants to bring up before we get into the review of minutes?
I'd like, as a board member, I'd like to thank whomever is responsible for this budget. Take your time, extra work, appreciate it.
We got three people. Dan,
Well, yeah, and this year I got quite a bit of help from, well, I couldn't finish it
Aaron.
without Aaron and JC.
and J.C.
Yeah.
down at the end there, the
Right.
three.
I just threw them in the deep end of it. They treaded water pretty good, yeah.
All right, anyway, thank you very much, appreciate it.
After our meeting yesterday, and that was exactly my reaction. I walked right out and said, wow,
Yeah.
you know, great job. So,
And it's appreciated, the notice, thank you.
All right.
Because it certainly was challenging with Aaron being out and they both not having that much of a background in
Right.
budgetary procedures in the state of Oregon, but they're learning quick.
Very good.
So, all right. Review of the minutes of February 15th, 2024 through March 21st, 2024, which meeting was canceled, as you're aware. A motion to accept the minutes that are before us.
I'll move to accept the minutes.
I'll second that.
All right. Comments or discussion? All right, if there's no comments or discussion, all in favor of accepting the minutes as written, say aye.
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 Approved unanimously of those attending. February 29th, 2024 and March 31st, 2024 financial statements for review of all funds. Motion to accept the minutes for the 2 months.
So moved.
Second,
I'll second
all right.
Anything in these that you want to point out for any special attention?
On the minutes,
No.
on the financials. Just if you look at the first page on each one, you'll see what I meant about the interest going up. And that is the increase over what was budgeted from the 3,000.
Then, you had indicated that you expect on page 3, the new connections to somewhat dramatically increase over the next several months, perhaps, or what was, how was?
The office has billed out, and that does not reflect on here, right? Does not reflect on here. There's still a number of them that are still the old STC rate that have been in process, and then there's several with the new. We have 177,000 pending out right now for collection on STCs. So that's several. I don't have an exact count,
Yeah.
but that's several more on top.
So, and for Craig, a number of builders and others came in before the rate increase for SDCs went into effect after a study was done. And so they're grandfathered to the old rate, which is what, several thousand less?
Yeah, 9,800 something compared to the 13,000.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so, you know, they came in underneath met the timing to be in early, so.
The ones that already have permits in progress are the ones before the date limit.
Okay.
So, and for instance, as an example, I don't believe any of Cougar Ridge has, falls within that lower rate, so all those will come in at the new rate as the properties are developed.
His project wasn't even done in time,
Yeah,
wasn't even
Yeah.
accepted yet.
okay. All in favor of accepting these financial minutes as written, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Board audit and accounts payable for review. Bank reconciliation.
So, you buy a bunch of new tires,
Huh?
you seen $4,400 for Les Schwab,
Mhm.
new tires?
Yeah, we put new tires on all of the rigs. When we got the ice storm, the tires weren't quite adequate to make it up the hill.
So that's all of the vehicles?
That's all the vehicles, yeah.
Oh, so that's a number of
37.
vehicles?
That's a number of vehicles, yeah, that's
Oh,
not just one.
okay, I was wondering, I was thinking, gee whiz.
No,
one
we don't buy
vehicle.
monster mutter tires. Stuff like that.
Okay,
Are those tires that stay on year round?
Yes, yeah.
so is the Sheldon line, is that about typical monthly or
Every other month,
every other month?
yeah, so which,
2,200,
but which bank?
just above the
Which-
tire,
Which bank one are you on? Are you on?
The first one.
February's?
yeah. I think. A range, yeah, February.
Do you have a-
So it's just above Jerry's
The
portion
Calvin
of
line?
tires, the $2,200, fuel from in town. Find the 4,400.
Well, I keep looking for Sheldon, it's Colwyn Sheldon.
Yeah,
So that's gasoline,
oh, that's gasoline? Okay.
yeah, that's gasoline.
All right, okay.
And 4,600 in computer services? Was that for
We
laptops?
no, we upgraded the computers in the office. We were running into the same problem, it would take 20, 30 minutes for them to boot up in the morning.
So that's new equipment? that's
That
not
is
just
new
services.
equipment,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Very nice.
They're quick.
Oh, they're nice. They're great.
Yeah.
So nice.
I mean, they're
Quality of
small,
life
they're,
issue?
Oh, yes.
they're
You just
smaller
turn
than
it on and it pops up.
they're
It's
smaller
like,
than a
wow.
Kleenex box now, with probably 5 times the speed.
Yeah. That's good.
Okay, and then on the next page, the upgrade for the alarm dialer, that's just a one-time We talked about it a while ago.
Yes,
We
that's a,
authorized it.
yeah, that's basically an equipment purchase and installation.
Yeah, I remember talking about
Yeah.
that.
That's all I have on February.
And then, for Craig, as much as anything else, on that same page, the system development charge fund, that's the expenses involved in the Avalon purchase.
On March, the only question I have, and I don't think it's a question, but the 7,500 on the second page for UV parts, that's again the replacement or extra bulbs or something we authorized about that, second page of the March report. Xylem Water Solutions.
Yes. So yes, that's when we pay that contract and they came here, and that's the parts that we had to replace and the lamps. So it was more than just lamps this time. There were ballast guards, there were other pieces that had worn on the system.
So,
Okay, so we discussed the bulb, not other things, but was this amount what you expected, or?
Yeah, it's pretty much because we actually needed less lamps than we did before bulbs, but we needed other repair, wearable parts.
this is separate, don't we have a contract with them too? Or
Yes.
Is that part of the contract?
Not the parts.
Not
This
the-
was the parts,
this
was
is
they
just
handed this
pure
after,
parts.
after they did their work.
Okay.
Yeah. And some of these are spare parts to go back into inventory that we have to keep here.
All right.
And then that little boy that mows our lawn just keeps charging us enormous rates. $1,765 to mow our lawn.
Oh, no, the $1,765 was to repair the broken chain link fence.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, it was to fix this lawn back here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
We talked
yeah,
about it.
yeah. We have one, the chain link fence broke in the concrete, and, North Coast gave us a special rate to come fix those
Yes.
and re-bore them out and put them back in.
Talked about that, I think.
Yeah.
I noticed that you had charges in both months for camera van and, various camera repairs.
Yes, we had to send one camera back, they have like a gas filled in them that keeps the cameras from fogging up while they're inside the water and sewer lines. And there was some other various, just repair parts that we had to get done.
Jeff McBrayer has entered the stand.
Enter the party.
Let's,
He's in the room.
did you sniff to see if it smells like a fire?
Did you put it out?
Did you put it out?
We put it out so fast I don't even stink.
Do you need a packet?
So, Sammy, it's not a monthly thing that we do with the camera van, but it is something that periodically when you use it as much as we've had the last few months. we have-
Well, no, I just noticed it in both months, and I was, it's like,
Jeff, we're just done with the checking counts and we're into operations summary,
Okay.
about to begin.
but no particular concerns about the cameras,
No, no.
Yeah,
They work in a rough environment,
yeah, oh, yeah.
yeah. So, usually it's your electrical connections,
Yeah,
the O-rings in them, if they start to get water in them, we have to send them in to get repaired.
yeah.
Craig, are you aware of what they're talking about,
Yeah.
the snakes with the cameras that go
Yeah.
down? Look for roots and things,
Yeah.
breaks?
Right. So, we're ready for the district report.
So I kind of combined, because we didn't have our board meeting last month, I'm not gonna go through all four bullets, but you'll see February and March, the treatment plant operated really well within its permit limits. We didn't do any March, April collection system work. As you know, that most of the staff was, a lot of staff members were gone sick in March, so we didn't get anything done. But we did get enough done that we had enough to put together for bids on making repairs for the I&I. The Oceanside Hotel project, I have sent some flow estimates. They have sent us some flow estimates, but not enough to finish giving it to our engineers to see what we have to do for the Oceanside pump station to see if it's large enough capacity.
And is
to
this
pump.
the, one replacing the cabins?
No,
As
this
opposed
is,
to the one at top of the hill?
this is the one at it's the Oceanside Hotel, which is the house on the
top
hill.
of the
Okay,
bluff, yeah.
yeah.
The one replacing the cabins has not given us any flow data. They still haven't given us a complete, how many units, what's gonna be in each unit, kitchenettes.
Seems like if we're gonna upgrade, we need to.
Well, the engineer had a long talk with me that, the upgrade, before we do an upgrade to the Oceanside pump station, we need to know the other one. If not, it could get real expensive to do it twice
Yeah, we
in a
don't
short
wanna do
amount
it
of time. And we've made, the ones with the Oceanside cabins aware that we need that information, and the only request they've made of us, can we go to one large lateral for their entire project? And I've told them, we can't even answer that till you tell us what you're doing. You have to commit to us exactly what you need. So, cause right now there's 4 laterals servicing those cabins down there. So, until they tell us what they're doing, I've got concepts. I mean, I don't know, I think you and you especially know more about it than we get told.
Yeah, well, I'll just mention, as most of you know, that the representatives of both projects presented to the Oceanside Neighborhood Association over the last month, and both of them were talking about construction time within the next year. And which is completely inconsistent with the amount of progress they've made over the past 2 years on planning. So we're taking all of that with a grain of salt, but at least they, we asked them, hey, you said you were to keep the community in touch, come touch us, and they did. They did make some presentations with some concept drawings and things. So they've got ideas, but with each of them, I have personally emphasized as a member of our board that our staff does not want to be in the position of being the ones that hold up this project because you provide information so late that our engineers don't have time to evaluate it, and don't underestimate how much time our engineers are gonna need to do that, because we will take the time that's needed. So I couldn't have made that point more strongly to both of them.
The house on the hill will use up the remaining capacity and max out that pump station, which DEQ will never allow. You need to have a 30% reserve. So with that, what that entails is larger horsepower pumps. Larger horsepower pumps could also require a larger force main to pump it up. And the real critical
that's
part
Pacific Avenue. It's
is,
down in the middle of Pacific Avenue.
is electrical demand. And the current wiring that's in the ground is 46 years old, the conduit with the electrical wiring. I think we've had this discussion, you've read it in the facility plan. It won't take the increased horsepower pumps. So, and then there will be an upgrade to the control panel to control the larger pumps. You can't do this piecemeal where one hotel does it and then a few months later the other hotel, then we have to enlarge it again and tear up all Pacific Avenue. Because that electrical line runs in the ground up the middle of Pacific Avenue.
Yeah, the electrical's underground with the force main.
Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play?
It was great, the outcome was the same as Lincoln's, but anyway, so before I think we'll be able to allow the Oceanside Hotel to move forward, when it gets down to it, we're gonna need data from them. And if it's gonna be what the engineers are just doing off of Oceanside, we're gonna have to enlarge that conduit, larger wire.
We do anticipate they're going to move forward to get a conditional use permit on the zoning side, but any conditional use permit will include, as a condition, getting the sign-off from NOSD. So don't be concerned if that moves forward. That's what usually happens.
So
with the zoning approval, in the zoning approval, they're told, get the infrastructure approval, or you don't have a permit yet.
did I hear that they were hoping to get that permit in about a month?
I have heard
They
that from
talked
them for
about
6
that?
months, but yeah. And
I'm not signing off on
it.
it, just so I'm not gonna get the permit. I can't sign off on it.
We don't know enough yet.
Yeah.
I stood outside with them after the meeting and said, told him, I said, you can get all the permits you want from the county, but we're independent. And he says, oh yeah, I understand what special districts are, but I don't know whether he does or not, that we're our own entity as far as political goes, which I wasn't, and I told him, I said, I'm not trying to be negative about it, but you need to make sure you're dealing with our folks too, so.
We're both delivering that message.
And just so you know how the process goes, DEQ has the requirements and the final say.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna
we have
say-
to go through DEQ,
Yeah, no, I was
and
gonna
we have
ask
no
about-
control over their timeline.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about DEQ.
Yeah, yeah.
If, given how close that pump station is to the ocean, if DEQ is gonna have any,
There's really no requirement at DEQ that I've ever dealt with in over 25 years that has to do with the location as far as where it is to a body of water or a stream. It does consider where the overflows will be at. So,
are they likely, is there any possibility that they'll come at us with the kind of request they came at us at Netarts of having a,
no, this is totally this is a complete different animal. This won't have anything to do with compliance.
okay,
That enforcement compliance side that we dealt with under the Netarts, no. No, this is strictly through DEQ's engineering side,
okay.
yeah.
So that the basic concept of a pump station, that whole, that's worked for Oceanside, they're gonna say it still works. even-
Right.
So long as
Yeah.
the capacity is large
Right.
enough.
And if you remember, DEQ dropped the push,
Yeah, I
what
do.
they demanded
Yeah,
on
yeah.
us, because it was unreasonable.
Yeah,
So, but there is design capacities, it has to be able to take both hotels and still run under
Yeah.
normal flows on one pump, even though there's two in there.
all right.
So they're pretty strict requirements. And I can't see it staying with the 10 horsepower pumps that are in there, even with impeller changes. Because the increased demand load just off of the draw of the electricity will be more than that conduit can handle.
Well, and we've gradually increased the number of buildings that are feeding into that anyway, so.
Right
is there
now-
Any reason for us to design extra large, figuring on growth, or?
You cannot do that, DEQ doesn't allow that either.
Okay,
You have a 20, but we're not in that planning stage to plan in the next 20 years.
yeah,
So that's usually on an upgrade. But what we'll do is they'll take the flow data off our telemetry or, you know, the control panels down there. And they need to look at how many cycles per day at what time of the year that the pumps operate on, how many hours they run, and how does that compare when the pump station was designed. We may even have to do what's a load test on the pumps for efficiency. I guarantee they're not gonna be at 97% that they were when they were new. You know, we're talking 13 years later, and they're gonna show some wear. But even preliminary, we already know right now that that pump size itself isn't going to work. So I don't think we're gonna waste the $2,800 to load test, unless, for efficiency, unless DEQ requires it first. So there's a lot of planning that still needs to go into this. That's why the motels, I don't think are fully understanding, even though Jerry's trying to impress on them. You need to move forward. This will take up to a year.
yeah, I was guessing about a year,
Yeah.
so, thanks
So-
for
I used
confirming
that
that.
figure.
So I did budget, you weren't here for that, I don't think, but I did budget $300,000 in our system development charge fund, because that is for capacity, enlarging for capacity.
Okay,
So I budgeted in there 300,000 to do this testing and planning. But you guys will know more of what's gonna cost and what's going on as we get proposals from the engineers.
okay.
A question, the manual transfer switch and ultimately the portable generator, will that be sized to perhaps handle any increase in pumps that are necessary for the hotels?
So we,
See what I'm,
no, and
yeah,
it's a great question, but yes, remember we already enlarged that generator?
right.
We enlarged it so we could run the pumps. Those are 260, 120 horse at Netarts. It will more than
So
take care
more
of.
than handle
It'll
whatever
more- yeah,
capacity
yeah.
increase happens because of the hotels.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
good.
yeah. So we've already got that covered as far as our portable generator goes.
I think we're gonna be talking about the hotels for a long time, so maybe we can
Okay,
move on.
I'm ready, okay.
Yeah,
So there are two proposals, Underground Tech and H&R Underground. There was a third, but it just got more expensive. So Underground Tech is who we use, and this other company, H&R Plumbing, H&R Underground, they use the same coating. There's a new coating out that's actually better than the one we've been using. We no longer have to use the mortar with it. But this is to repair epoxy coat 8 manholes and then install what's called a point repair. So in your gravity line, your 8-inch gravity line, if you get a hole inside of it and water's coming in, you get high groundwater, these point repairs are going in what they seal it. So you don't, it's underground technology. You don't longer have to dig up the street and replace the pipe. They can do this from the surface without disturbing the road. And so we had 5 point repairs that the guys found when they were doing their inspection, and I usually limit it to 10 manholes because of the cost. So I usually limit it, but they're gonna do 8 because they have 2 warranties to do on 2 manholes they did before. So,
And you wanna, I just wanna jump ahead, Underground Tech is the one that had the lower, or the one you like better?
it's the one we've used. They're actually based out of Oregon. This second one's based out of California, and then I think the third one's Indiana. Huh?
No,
Illinois?
Indiana, no, I think it was Indiana.
Yeah, so anyway, it's back east.
And you need us to make a motion to go ahead and.
It's not reductive.
Yeah, yeah. So I recommend that the board approve the Underground Tech. And we're required by the cost of this to go get bids, so.
Motion that we approve the request for moving forward with Underground Tech.
I'll second that.
any further discussion? If none, all in favor of accepting Underground Tech's bid, say aye. Proposal?
Aye.
Alright,
Aye.
All right.
Were you surprised by these prices at all, or?
I was surprised by the other ones, yeah, yeah. This is a new epoxy coating that they came out with. It's supposed to be cheaper, which it reflects it here. We're getting more done with Underground Tech than with the other ones, but the other ones are actually more. And there's less material and less steps to do, so I didn't
Or is that just because they're so far away?
I think it's just not enough of a job for them to actually come here.
So they knew that they were
Yeah,
a second or a third bid, and
Right.
they bid accordingly,
Yeah.
because they
Now-
really want
Just
the
tossed
job.
in there.
you would see a more competitive bid if we were doing a $250,000 or a $500,000 job, then you would see probably a more competitive bid out of the other ones.
Yeah, that's what I guessed, but.
Well, you guessed correct, yeah. So, the new Cummins generator for the Ocean Highlands pump station, its lead time, oh, wait a minute, this is the Cummins generator for the, Ocean Highlands pump station. Delivery was supposed to be mid-August. It's been pushed out to the end of October. I actually wanted it here before the storm season came. We don't want to be trying to change that generator out during the storm. Xylem is still working on an estimate for replacing the Ocean Highlands pump station. We did use our spare parts from the old Netarts pump station panel that we pulled. So there are no more parts to fix this, so it is kind of a priority to get replaced. But it's like everybody else, we're months and months away from even getting a pre-design on something, so. You got any questions on that? Okay, number 3, treatment plant, the new effluent pump station, pump has been installed. You'll see that we already paid for that. You saw in the audit report that that's already been paid and installed. So the contractor for the manual transfer switch, they keep moving the start dates out, and they keep moving them because the delivery dates for their parts keep getting moved out. But they did come and change it again, and they showed up yesterday. The new manual transfer switch is installed at the Oceanside pump station. So it's now ready for when the generator gets here in June, they can finish and they can test that.
Nice.
I did have some issues. I received the new schedule from the contractor, and he's gonna need to shut off Netarts pump station for 3.5 hours. Completely kill all the power to it to go in and make this change. We can't have that pump station without electricity for 3.5 hours. You remember what happened last time, it was out of power. So I'm working with them now to either call in a pumper truck and have it sitting there. And I know that our friendly neighbors, if they see that pumper truck sitting there, they're probably gonna get a little bit excited. But I might have Aaron and JC maybe put something on our website that kind of alerts that that's there for cautionary in case it has to haul, why that upgrade is being done. So I think some outreach on that pump station might be wise before we get started the end of next month. So the new date is they're gonna start is gonna be May 28th. We're closed on May 27th for the holiday, but they'll start May 28th.
What holiday is that?
Memorial Day.
Memorial Day.
And is that gonna be, I'm just thinking about, with all the touristas coming in that weekend, that it's just gonna be for that, let's say, 4 hours?
So it'll actually be after the weekend holiday.
Oh, okay.
So,
He's doing prep work before.
yeah, so there'll be a couple of days of prep work,
So it'll be
and
a
then
weekend.
he's gotta give me an actual hard schedule when to schedule the pumper truck to be here. If I can't get those two to line up, he can't do it.
Okay. I'm just thinking that's our
Yeah.
kickoff weekend for psychosis on the coast.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
so there's still some more scheduling work to be done here, and they still have not received the manual transfer switch for Netarts pump station. So there's no need for them to even start tearing anything apart until they have all the parts laying there. They had everything for the Oceanside one, because it's been going on for 2 years.
Yeah.
So they have that one, and that one is complete. I just don't know if we're gonna get a progress payment request, because they did do that one, but we can still pay that out of this budget, we're fine.
I saw folks down at Oceanside. So, nice to see it happen.
Yeah, yeah.
So, how much capacity is one of those trucks? I mean, should we
A tanker truck,
have like one on standby?
I think Tim's is 6,500 gallons. Yeah, it's 6,500 gallons. It's gonna be June, we should be, I mean, it's gonna be May, we still should be under low flows. The only thing that would really require more than one truck on standby is if we have a storm or a lot of rain or something that can increase the flow volume.
Okay.
And my assumption is they can just they'll take that, they can dump it there in Tillamook, and then they can return to the site.
No, they'll dump it up here.
Dump it here, and then they can
And then,
return
yeah.
right to the site.
Yeah, yeah.
So if we got into a bit of a pickle, we'd have time to.
Well, I'm also talking electrician, if they get if they have the portable generator, we have control boxes, which John saw us hook those up, that we use to run the pumps manually while they changed out the control panel at Netarts. If they have the portable generator, they can hook those manual control panels up directly to the portable generator. They can't fire the generator up inside,
Right.
because then that puts all the power back through the breaker boxes and everything,
So that's a fail-safe in case
Yeah, we don't
something
want
was
that.
to go wrong.
the fail-safe will be the truck. The pumps is always your best option to do the pumps first. If we cannot do the pumps, they can't get the generator here to wire it up, then what we'll have to do is we'll have to use the trucks.
Yeah, what I'm saying, I think you just answered me, but let's say they're doing the work, we got things shut down, they turn the switch on, doesn't work.
Yes,
So,
Yeah, yeah. So, first they need to figure out if they can make, because a portable generator, you know, we just put diesel in it, it'll work, we'll test everything. I'll still put Zawald on standby, if nothing else.
okay.
It would even be prudent to maybe pay him to sit out there, even though I know Ken doesn't like doing that, he likes to earn his money, but, just sitting there ready just in case we need them. We don't want all the lines to back up the Bay Road
Right.
because it just takes longer for it to get caught up.
Right.
So, the contractor, after I talked with him, he's gonna, the superintendent's gonna come here and meet, and we're gonna walk through, and he's gonna get an exact plan on how this is gonna be choreographed and planned out,
Good.
so. And I just spoke to him just, early this afternoon, so I'm still putting that together with him. So, we already went over the Oceanside pump station, so Avalon area where we bought the lots. Does the district want me to get the engineers started on a draft pre-design to get us numbers of what it's gonna cost? And just so you know, the steps are pre-design, the board reviews, approved. Once they do that, then it has to go to DEQ for their approval. And so that'll be some back, so we're looking at a year of planning down there before we even get into final design. Because I don't know how much, we gotta go to the county, find out how much environmental study we have to do, and things like
Whether or not
that.
it's a wetland.
Yeah.
Do you need a motion for us to do pre-design?
So if the board is planning this year, or this next fiscal year, to start moving forward on that pump station project down there, then I need the approval from the board. If you plan on not doing anything with that property yet, then we don't have to do anything.
So generally, what's the consensus of the board to go ahead and move forward? In the coming
Having bought
fiscal
the
year?
land, it would make sense to me
Yeah.
to
Okay.
move forward with it.
I agree.
What are the counter arguments on that?
Um,
But it's not gonna get any cheaper.
It's not gonna get any cheaper. I budgeted 700,000 when you look at that. For that's just all of their, it's actually probably a little more than what we need for that. But the total amount to build that infrastructure will be about 1.2 million to 1.3 million. With the SDCs coming in at the rate they're coming in, we probably should have that time we even get to that. But remember, you can stop that. If we don't have the cash to pay for it, we can stop that at any time. Your work up to that point won't go to waste. So you can always shelve it and say, okay, well, we can't build a pump station right now. So I just want, you're not committed to build it once you start this process.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's no like regulatory requirement of, once you started the planning process, then your planning and your building have to be close enough so that your planning hasn't become obsolete. or-
Right. Well, you'll have to like take it off the shelf, dust it off, and you'll have to freshen it up.
Legally, there's no,
No, no. We're not under an obligation or an order from DEQ to build this. So this is an NOSD project.
okay.
So this is totally up to us here, how we move forward.
What would be the specific next step that we would need to approve tonight to begin to move forward?
To contact the engineer, authorize them to start the pre-design, to get the board a cost of what the pre-design's gonna cost.
Is that West Tech?
Yeah, it's West Tech. They've already done the surveying down there, so we can buy the property, so they're already a step ahead on that, and we've already paid for that portion of it. But now it has to do with layout and then what requirements that DEQ is gonna require that has to be integrated in your
Will those
design.
plans include any new pipes in the ground running to and from?
Yes, yeah, there'll be gravity lines and there'll be one short force main,
Right,
yeah,
and that'll all be part of the same plan.
yeah. We'll have to go get the rest of the easements. Once they verify that's where they're going, we already have 4 of the easements. Yeah, we already have 4 of the easements. So the remainder going up through that kind of idea where they're gonna put it, yeah.
So for this phase, what will be the product from the engineers to us?
An estimate to go into design.
Okay, so can I have a motion for West Tech to provide the estimate to move forward with the design.
I'll do that.
All right,
I'll
second.
Go ahead, son.
I'll second it.
All right, any further discussion?
Do we have any kind of interface with Public Works that needs to start? Do we need to alert them that we're moving into this phase at all?
I'll contact Chris and let him know what our plans are. And then we will be contacting them because it's road right-of-ways and stuff like that.
And then I assume Sarah Absher also is gonna.
Oh, yeah, it'll go to planning and,
So I'm
you
just
know.
saying, if we're gonna start this, is there a
There'll
need
be
for us to
fees
be
there.
sure and alert the county
Yeah,
we're starting
yeah.
this? That's-
And so part of what West Tech will do, we'll get the estimates for the county fees and that type of stuff, and all the permitting, so we'll have all those preliminary costs. We'll be including what you get next.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so, can I have, let's see, we've
Call
done
for
a
the vote.
first and a second, and approval of the motion by the board. All those that approve say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so it's unanimously approved.
Okay. Number 7, personnel. It's a short sentence that isn't much, it says fill the office manager position. So, it's how the board wants to, what steps the board wants to take. What do you need from me, or the office, to start that process?
Well, you and I had a discussion about, that officially for this kind of a position, we really don't need to do public notice or anything. But under the circumstances, it would be smart to go ahead and dot our i's and cross our t's, even if it looks like extra
Right.
caution. And I agree with that. So would the first step then be posting?
Well, you'll have to figure out a pay range, pay scale that you,
Is there
either a minimum, maximum pay
board
scale.
committee to oversee this process that we have to invent?
Sure.
This is what you guys need to
Yeah.
decide how you want to
Yeah.
move forward
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah,
I'm not doing the hiring on that.
Yeah, I know.
So,
Yeah.
Do we have a job description created?
yeah, there's a job
So we-
description.
We already have a job description, we don't have a pay range, or do we have a general pay range?
We have a
No.
maximum pay.
We have a
budget.
max, yeah.
Okay.
That was in the budget.
Understood.
I can get you numbers if you tell me what you want for the minimum, maximum, you know.
Well, you've done a survey. or you've-
Yeah, we've done a
informally-
survey, yeah, that's what also affected the
Can
other.
this be done by a committee?
And deliver that information to
Sure.
the committee and distill it for the rest of this thing.
yeah.
You and you.
And I'm gonna,
I'm
He's
fine
gonna
with
be
that.
going,
yeah, and I'm doing legal committee stuff on some personnel.
You can only-
Our
you can-
employment specialist.
Oh, it's
Jim,
workers' comp.
Jim, you can only do
2 people.
2 board members.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Three
Oh,
becomes-
three's a
Well, now
quorum.
you're having a meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
so, Simeon, would you do it?
I'm happy to do it.
Would you
Bert?
do it, Jim?
I don't know if I have enough smarts to do that.
You're smart enough to get out of it.
Look,
Sure, I'll do it.
okay,
Okay, so, and probably what it entails is at some point, sitting down with Dan and getting his information and deciding how you wanna do it. Perhaps an interview process, et cetera, because,
So do you want a proposal from the committee back to the board that says, here's how we wanna do it? We wanna
yeah,
publicize it?
for next month,
And-
yeah,
right.
if possible, yes,
Okay,
yes.
we can do that, all right.
so it's totally up to how the board wants to handle it. SDO, I spoke to their hiring, well, we're working on your stuff. We're small enough, you do not have to go out to advertise, and you're not under any requirement to post it. I just want the board to know that. I do understand why, okay, but once you post it, you need to post it for 30 days.
Which prevents us from taking any kind of final action for 3 days, obviously.
Yeah,
Well, and then we need to decide who we're interviewing.
yeah.
So my schedule's pretty open.
Mine is too.
Okay, so we'll get together on the phone, and figure
Yeah.
out when to meet with Dan.
Sounds good.
I'm gone the last week of this month. Well, last week and part of the first week, so the end of the month, the 29th through the 3rd.
My only caution, you probably already know this, and I'll just say it flat out. Erin is gonna be a candidate, I believe, and probably be very competitive. And she's related to Dan, as is Brian. So whatever the
They're related
process
to each
is,
other.
it appears to me that from the point of view of appearances and the public, that there needs to be a competitive process for the selection of the candidate, rather than going with what SDAO says you don't have to do that. We're just in that position by virtue of family here. If anybody has any other thoughts than that, please share them. But that would be my thoughts as far as the public is concerned.
I agree.
So do I.
Okay, so I don't know that anything more is required with that. Then you're the committee and set something up with
So it will
Dan.
it'll be Jim and Sam.
Yeah,
Do we need a motion?
I don't think so.
I do.
I think we're all right. And unless you think we do.
No, I think it's actually, you are authorized to appoint committees. You just did.
Okay. So, next.
Okay, lastly, so when I met with the auditor on the last audit, we had to change some things for travel expenses and how they're paid, especially with staff. So he suggested that since we have a business credit card, that each staff member gets a credit card issued to them. Now, they don't keep them with them, they're locked up in the safe because of the difficulties that it is to even rent hotel rooms anymore. That's what he's suggesting that a lot of his clients do. I did check our bank, and that is an option. I can go in and add, put limits on them, put restrictions on them. I don't think, like, if it's a $500 credit card, which basically would cover their hotels. It's getting more and more difficult. Hotels don't want to take checks. Hotels don't want to, like, if we use my district credit card, it's almost like I have to drive there and pay for it in person, or they want me to fill out these papers, send it in where they have all the district's credit card information on their file, and the auditor said that not to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're putting yourself at risk.
Yeah.
So,
You need a motion to,
yeah, so what I need approval for, and what I'm thinking is like a $500 limit. I'm gonna go check what hotel rooms cost. Most of their short school trainings are usually 2 nights, rarely 3, but usually 2.
I would, in my rearing my head as treasurer, would like to see a written procedure for how that cards are handled and approval of expenses.
We have to do that, yes.
Okay.
He said we had to do that.
Okay.
But I needed approval to even, before we write that up, I needed approval to even that it's okay to start that.
Assuming that we are going to do that, that would,
Okay.
my approval's conditioned on knowing
Yeah,
we're gonna do
yeah,
that.
we had to add signature lines to the pay requests for the travel expenses. So there were some changes we've had to make already, so we'll just, we want to do that in a policy?
So do we want to just
I think it's a protocol, just a policy.
table any action tonight and just wait for the policy to
No,
be presented?
no, let's authorize him to go forward with drafting a policy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not gonna go start doing the credit cards tomorrow.
So motion
Yeah.
to move forward, drafting
Yeah.
a policy for use
Yeah.
of the credit cards.
Yeah, that's fine.
I second.
All right?
Can you make a motion?
I was gonna say.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. And you got that, right?
I got that.
Anybody have any other questions in regard to that? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Unanimous? All right, so that's it for your report?
That is it.
So, we already discussed the old business, the Avalon Pump Station project, new business items, the Oceanside Pump Station upgrade for the hotels, the office manager position, any correspondence?
Can I, yes, apologies, add a quick item to old business
Sure.
without objection? A year or maybe a year and a half ago, the Oceanside Neighbor Association Emergency Group was in the process of exploring their ability to get funding for a storage container for emergency supplies. And we talked about siting it here up at the, in the compound because it's secure, it's out of the inundation zone. And the board, I think, conditionally said, yes, let's move forward on that, more to come. Well, that process got aborted, but we are now, the Oceanside Neighbor Association and the Oceanside Protection Society as fiscal agent, because it's a 501c3, have been in the process of working with county organizations that are grouped and individually to apply for a grant that would once again, if successful, bring us both a new generator down at the chapel, which is the assembly point for evacuation for beach folks, and for supplies for down there. And then on top of that, a fully equipped, including siting work and any wiring of a 20-foot container, again, that would serve the same purpose we talked about before. So I'd just like to alert the board that we are going to be coming to you again once we know more about, we're telling them we have provisional approval,